Uh, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time I'm going to be covering the Evil Dead remake from 2013, directed by Fede Alvarez, co-written by Alvarez and another guy called Brad Seguiz. If I pronounce both their names wrong, I am sorry. I am very bad with pronunciations. Alright, I'm going to make this review really brief and just flat out say that I actually really like the Evil Dead remake. I think it's one of the better horror remakes of a classic movie. Unlike the first movie, this one goes for a more serious tone. It actually has a more understandable story as opposed to the first movie, which really had no story. This one actually has a story. The MacGuffin story of this movie is that this character called Mia is a recovering heroin addict, and her friends are going to take her to a cabin in the woods so that she can go cold turkey and get this shit out of her system. So that's the MacGuffin plot. She's there with her brother, and they got their two friends who are there with them. So, you got the brother-sister thing from the first movie, you got this new thing. But there's an actual, but this movie also adds more to that, because there's actually a relationship here with the brother and sister, which to my opinion, Ash and Cheryl didn't really have a relationship in the first movie. This one, the characters of David and Mia, they actually have a relationship. They actually have a history. They feel like brother and sister, and I actually like their characters. They're not too bad. I like the character of Mia, who's this recovering heroin addict, and when some douche nozzle reads from the book and the Deadites possess her, coupled with her going through withdrawal and now being possessed by demonic spirits, she goes through a whirlwind of hell. And so do the people in the cabin. This movie is gory as all hell, and I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that, because nowadays, when was the last time we actually really got some good gore in a movie? I don't really consider Saw to be that. It's more or less Saw to me is a very convoluted story with gore peppered in here and there, but nothing out of the ordinary. This one to me was more balls to the wall. You're seeing a girl chop her arm off after it gets possessed, and as a nod to Evil Dead 2. The same girl, in addition to chopping her own arm off, gets a bunch of fucking nails shot into her face. Plus, she gets her other hand blown off. You got this other character who literally carves her face off. So yeah, this movie is full of really good gore, good practical effects. Some good CGI as well, which blends in good with the practical effects. The look of possessed Mina, to me is a little bit more creepier as opposed to possessed Cheryl. So I thought that stuff was all great. I do have some nitpicks with this movie. Some of the acting in this movie is much better than the first movie. Though there is a subplot in this movie, to me, that serves no purpose, and it's just there as padding. Pretty much the characters of David and Eric are estranged friends. The character of Eric resents David for an unknown reason that never gets explained, and to me, it just takes up time whenever those two are on screen together. If you take the plot of them having a strained relationship and just having them be, the best of friends going into this movie, it would have made the movie flow much better. And this unresolved tension between these two characters would have been non-existent, because it adds nothing to the overall story. And it's actually Eric, the dumbass, who reads from the book and unleashes the evil upon him and his friends, which causes all mass destruction. So yeah. Also, this movie also has a nice little twist as well, where Mia gets possessed, so you're thinking that this character David, he's gonna be the new Ash, but no. This movie has a nice little twist in the end where David, through some acts from the book, actually is able to cleanse his sister's soul of the Deadite spirit, and ultimately saves her. He frees her from being possessed, and she's back to normal again. And the twist is that she ends up being the hero, while he, unfortunately, has to make a sacrifice after Eric, who had previously died, comes back as a Deadite. So as a last-ditch effort, David had to blow the cabin up to save to pretty much sacrifice himself to save Mia. But while doing so, this other evil emerges from the ground, and this other entity just completely destroys Mia, bloodies her up, cuts her with a machete, to the point where Mia's hand gets caught under the a Jeep they got, and she pretty much yanks her arm from underneath, ripping that shit off clean. And of course, she gets payback by chopping up this evil eater of souls with the fucking chainsaw, motherfucker. And that pretty much, ends the movie right there. So yeah, like when all is said and done, I got my problems with this movie here and there. I do really, really like it. I like it on the same level as the first movie, and I think I give this one more of an edge because it does have a more serious tone to it, and I think the violence is a little bit more raw and more visceral and more scary, in my opinion. Which is why I'm going to give the Evil Dead remake a solid 8 out of 10. It's one of the better remakes. It has good acting, got good CG effects, got good practical effects. It does have some slog issues, especially with a subplot that goes absolutely nowhere. But the overall plot itself be nothing spectacular, but making more sense than the original movie did. So yeah, 8 out of 10 for the Evil Dead remake. That's all I got to say about this. If you like the Evil Dead remake, let me know in the comment sections below. Like this video and subscribe, and I'll check you back next time for more.